In part writing the plagal cadence, we use the same part writing rules that we used for the authentic cadence, since both cadences have roots whose in the bass are a fourth or a fifth apart. However, now that we do have the 4 chord on the table and the 5 chord on the table, it's possible that we'll use a chord progression that moves from the 4 chord to the 5 chord. In this case, the roots are actually only a second apart, and that creates some special problems that we have to be very careful about in part writing, so we actually are going to be using a different procedure for that. The procedure basically says that when the bass line goes up a step, the other 3 voices should go down by similar motion to the next available chord tone. Kind of sounds like one of the part writing procedures that we used with the authentic and plagal cadence. The only difference is that the bass line is moving a step rather than a fourth or fifth. So here we do have a bass line. I've set up an example in the key of D major, and I've already labeled bass line of G for the subdominant chord spelled GBD, and a bass line of A for the dominant chord spelled A, C sharp, E. So assuming that you can visualize those chords, I'm going to write a soprano line that uses one of the notes from the subdominant chord, the D, and I'm going to have it go down from D to C sharp, a note from the dominant triad. So now I have my bass line and my soprano line, and I'm ready to apply that part writing rule, where I'm going to have the 3 upper voices go in contrary motion to the bass. And again, the bass is going up, so the 3 upper voices are going to go down from wherever I start them. In this example, I think I am going to give the B that I need to the tenor, and then the other G, my doubling, to the alto. Now, the G and the alto can go down to an E, which is, let me clean that up, an E, and the B in the tenor can go down to A, can double the A. So this is an example of writing when the basses are a second apart, as they would be when you go from the 4 chord to the 5 chord. And the exercise number 6, 9, number 1 and number 2 I'd like to work through in this video, which will demonstrate not only the bass line going up a second, but also the bass line moving a fourth or fifth. So we'll get to use both part writing procedures. Now we're getting to a longer stream of chords. Alright, this first example, we can tell, or we should be able to tell, that it's in C major. How do we know that? Well, the key signature has no sharps, no flats. Also, the notes in the bass are F, G, and C. And right now the only chords that are on the table are either the tonic, the subdominant, or the dominant. If this was to be A minor, we would need a G sharp. We would need a leading tone. We don't have that. So we're going to go with C major. And we have a subdominant chord, that's the F chord. We have a dominant chord, that's the G chord. And we have a tonic chord, that's the C chord. I could write all the notes out. I'm trying to get away from that. But again, in your mind's eye, you should be thinking F, A, C. You should be thinking G, B, D, and you should be thinking C, E, G, almost reflexively, without really having to write those on the side by now. Alright, so let's decide in the first chord, I'm going to put the tenor on the A and the alto on the F. I'm going to have these both go down, similar motion to the next available chord tone. And then I'm going to have the maintain the common tone and move the other 2 by step. So I have some great voice leading. This would be very easy to sing do, ti, do in the soprano, or fa, re, mi in the alto, or la, so in the tenor, fa, so, do in the bass. So all very singable, and that's exactly what we're looking for with part writing, is harmonies that vertically have the right notes, the right doubling, but yet melodies that in a linear fashion are pleasing and singable. Alright, let's look at our second example, and we have 4 flats. So that, oops, let's move this over here, and let me clear the ink. Good, 4 flats, and the bass line gives us a clue. It's going from D flat to E flat to A flat. So this is going to be A flat major, not F minor. because of those notes, and the chords we're allowed to write so far are the 1, 4, and 5 chord. Okay, so this is the tonic chord in A major, it's an A flat. This is the dominant chord in A major, it's an E flat, and this is the subdominant chord in A major, it's a D flat. Okay, well, we have our doubling taken care of, right? The D flat is already in both outside voices. Let's go ahead and put F, the third of the chord, and A flat, the fifth of the chord, in the alto and tenor respectively. And then as we go to the dominant chord, we're going to go down in direction. Remember, we want to go opposite the bass line to the next available chord tone. So since the bass line went D flat up to E flat, we're going to have these all going down. But it turns out, if you look at the notes, you do end up having the right doubling, right? We want to have two E flats. Well, there's one, there's the other. So we have our doubling right, then we also do have a third, and we have a fifth. So that works out beautifully. And then the last chord is an authentic cadence. We're going to either maintain a common tone, move the other two by step, or we're going to move three upper voices similar direction to the next available chord tone. Why don't we do that one? Let's have the tenor move down to the E flat, the alto move down to the C, and the soprano already is moving to the A flat. So that works beautifully. And yeah, we got some great part writing. So this is getting exciting. We're actually getting longer melodies in our upper part, and we're getting some variety in the chords now because we have 3 chords on the table.